The first time that I read A Grief Observed was shortly after the death of my 17-year-old stepson, Paul. You know, Paul was a typical teenager. He loved computers, he loved to hang out with his friends, loved to sleep, was excited about his first job and about driving a car and all the things that teenage boys look forward to. You know, he died just a few days before September 11th. And so, while our grief was still fresh, the whole world was, in a sense, mourning right with us. They were mourning the events that had happened with the World Trade Center and the Pentagon, which had happened as we were preparing for his funeral. C.S. Lewis is really one of those magical writers. He can say things in very complex ways and yet make them very easy to understand. And one of the things that I've enjoyed as a scriptwriter is really being able to put Joy's story, if you will, into a way that makes it accessible for anyone. So Joy's story can become my story or your story, or anyone that watches the film can identify with all those things that C.S. Lewis felt when he experienced that loss. And that's one of the beautiful things about A Grief Observed, is just that it really conveys universal truths that anyone feels as they go through a sense of loss. Maybe not every one of those feelings, but they may feel the feelings of fear or loneliness or apathy, or even all of them put together. But they definitely are able to resonate with Lewis and to make some parts of his experience their own. One of the challenges as a scriptwriter for this film was really coming up with ways to illustrate some of the sub-themes that we had as part of dealing with grief and loss. And so a perfect example would be when we featured the family that was going through a separation, and you saw the dad leaving and the mother and child behind, or, you know, in another scene where you saw the couple that was dealing with the disability, or when you saw the couple that was facing miscarriage. All those things are very real and very painful losses, and as a scriptwriter, it's tough to really balance the drama that's associated with those with a story such as Lewis's that primarily deals with losing a spouse. So I really think that our actors and the production team really did a great job of just bringing those stories to life in a way that honors the emotions that people feel in those circumstances, without over-dramatizing or making them melodramatic to the point that they weren't effective. So, you know, but that was certainly one of the challenges in this film, was just addressing the full range of grief and realizing that it goes past just the death of a loved one. It was really important to me as a scriptwriter that viewers, by the end of the film, really felt a bit of hope and a bit of encouragement about being able to go through the loss experience and really come through okay on the other side. And I certainly think that the original music that we featured in the film, which was done by Josh and Katie Swift, I really think that it added that dimension. Particularly, there's a line in the song that talks about making art of ugly things. And I think, in a sense, that's really what grief does to us. It takes an experience that's very painful, that's very ugly on the surface, and it helps us make something beautiful out of it. We do become different just by going through the experience. And I think that if viewers could take one thing away from the film, it would be that going through the pain and the fear, the apathy, the depression, the feeling of aloneness and separation from the world, that all those things, when you get on the other side of them, they do sharpen you as a person, and they do somehow make your human experience richer. And so I think just bringing the original music combined with bringing the stories back full circle, and just hearing, you know, how people have transformed their lives through their grief experience. I think both of those things as a scriptwriter were just very powerful for me in ending the story and just bringing it to a hopeful resolution. The bottom line for me as a scriptwriter and a co-producer on this film is just that I want to hopefully leave a message that will encourage people and that will lift people up and let them know that they don't have to go through this experience alone, and that there are people who can walk through the experience with them and help them heal and find hope. And so hopefully, if you're watching this film and you find yourself in that situation, just know that there are many people who have walked in your shoes that can help you, really overcome the feelings that you have and can help you find your new sense of purpose and your new sense of encouragement as you overcome your grief experience.